Welcome to the Sideline Live podcast. Subscribe for more episodes and follow our social media at the Sideline Live. We'd love to hear from you. On this episode, I'm delighted to welcome Mark Reynolds of the Hoopfolio podcast and Eanna Superleague men's team. We had a great chat about his professional basketball career, playing GAA with the Longford senior men's team, and why he started up his very own basketball podcast. I hope you enjoy. Hi Mark, thanks a million for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
How are you keeping?
Really good, yeah. Just trying to adjust to the second wave of COVID, I suppose.
Yeah, very good. And what I like to do is kind of give the guests a chance to kind of introduce themselves. So I'll give you 40 seconds to a minute to kind of give a lowdown of who you are.
All right, this is my elevator pitch. So Mark Reynolds, currently play basketball for Eanna, which is in the Super League, in the Irish Basketball Super League. Been here since last season. We had probably exceeded expectations last season, I suppose. We got to a cup final and became third in the league, and we just moved up from being promoted from National League Division 1. So did quite well there. Previous to that, played in the UK. I was there for like 5 or 6 years. Played the BBL, which is the top league there. The NBL Division 1, which is the league below the BBL, which would still have some professional players. And then the NBL Division 2, which is not professional at all. It'd be more for people who just don't want the level of commitment. Before that, played in Germany as well in Pro B for a year, and previous to that was just college basketball in Scotland. not that notable for basketball.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is kind of just start back at your sort of beginning of your basketball journey. So you're originally from Longford, is that correct?
Yeah, Longford. So again, well, actually, you'd be surprised. There's actually more decent basketball players from Longford underage, but they tend to kind of, like if you used to look at some of like my generation, they actually would have made some of the national teams underage.
Okay. Yeah.
They tend to not stay with it generally. Yeah, that's what I've seen anyway. But so there's a club there called Longford Falcons, which fond memories of there. And I think my mum brought me down when I was like 11, and I played tennis a lot. Actually, played soccer and stuff like that, but just fell in love with basketball. And there was just so many people in the gym at the one time. There was like, I remember obviously no COVID, so there was like 50 people in the gym. And I was actually kind of intimidating because there was just so many people there, and it was a mixture of girls and guys. And he just, everybody was so into it. And there was something cool about the sport that I couldn't quite put my finger on that I really liked. Yeah. It was just a cool sport. Like I kind of discovered the NBA, and hanging around with the guys that were on I think the first team that they picked they had Saturday morning games, and then they had like the community games. Do you remember the community games? Oh, yeah. So there was a Longford North team, and that was our team. And I don't know anything about Longford South, but anyway, I don't know who they were. But basically, you had to win out your county, you win out your province, and then you get to All-Ireland. So under 13, we ended up going to an All-Ireland final, losing to Castle Island from Kerry.
Oh, okay.
And then the next year, most of us were underage, and we won an All-Ireland medal under 13. And that was it then. Like, I was hooked. Like,
you were hooked,
so
yeah.
I was just hooked after that. And it was community games, weirdly, that did it. And then under 14 for St. Mel's, which was my school, we won a national medal there. We got to the All-Ireland final and won. And then under 16, I think we won 2 community games medals. So that it was kind of like all through school and community games, and you just getting on the teams and having so much fun, like going to these tournaments.
Yeah, and winning everything, you know.
Well, that helped, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But like the coach, I probably should say, I'll probably send this to him. Mick Murphy is his name, and his son now coaches the club, or he runs the club essentially.
Oh, brilliant.
Mick would be, like, I'm sure if you talk to a lot of like big basketball clubs, they would know who Mick Murphy was in Longford. And sometimes he holds an Easter tournament and invites clubs from all around the country into Longford. So people would know that tournament, or some people would. So he's quite well known, but he was fantastic. He was one of these coaches that would just run the bejesus out of you. So basically, I remember being under 12 and actually feigning an injury, so we didn't have to go and run laps around the sports complex. It was like a decent, it was that bad.
Oh
So
my
like
God.
it was. I remember being 12 and I had the awareness at 12 to know that I was like, this is nuts. Like, why? Like he was making us literally like do laps of the mile, like, and timing us and then getting us to beat our times. And I remember being like 12 or whatever and thinking like I was even questioning it in my head and telling my friends that why is he making us go this hard? But we ended up winning like
That was
an
it.
All-Ireland
That
medal.
was the secret. Was all that running?
Well, I don't know. Then there was a part of me was like, was it talent or was it because you worked this really hard? But it was probably a mix of both. And we had a bunch of talent, and a few of those lads did, as I said, make the underage national teams then. So they would have made the interregional teams and then the national teams. So it must have done some good.
And did your parents or siblings play at all, or were you just kind of the only one that
Uh,
played?
yeah, so I got one brother, Philip. He's like a year and 4 months older than me, and Philip was brought down at the same time, and he was on the those teams as well. As in the community games ones. He was a little bit older. It just so happened that my year happened to be 84. I'm showing how old I am. It was the year that we had like a guy called William Murray and another guy called Cian Morrissey. They were both on the national teams underage.
Yeah.
And they were really good. And they happened to be underage the same year again after my brother left. And then we won a bunch of stuff. So like it just, there were these waves of talent that come through at the same year sometimes. So I got lucky. I got really lucky. And I was actually, that brings up the standard. Everyone else on the team when
Yeah, exactly. You kind of like when you've the elite talent on your team, you kind of they raise the bar and you kind of follow their lead.
Yeah, it seems to help everybody, however that works. Yeah.
And you spoke about it briefly there. You went to college in Scotland, was it?
Yeah. So then, I kind of like, I kind of played just to kind of transition into that bit. Like I played like a point guard, like a guard position because I was 5'7". Yeah, I think we were talking yesterday. I remember I kind of said I had this massive growth spurt. So
yeah.
I kind of was 15 and I was 5'7", something like that. And I remember I didn't get selected for the national team under 15 and I was gutted. And I was kind of like legitimately was like, I think I'm done with basketball. I was like, I didn't make the team. And I was obviously sad about missing out, but I felt like there's nowhere necessarily that I want to go with this. Like obviously the Super League was probably existed at the time, but nobody from Longford seemed to continue it on after that. So at that point I was just looking to go to university and I was like, I'm not that interested in basketball. I lost interest after that. And then I think I got to like 17, and that year I just grew ridiculously, which would make sense. But both my parents were tall, my brother was tall, so I grew from like 5'7" to like 6'4".
Wow!
In a year, I remember going from being like less than average in my year to being like the second tallest guy in my year by the time I was doing my leaving cert.
Yeah.
And I remember one lad turned around to me in class, goes, "Mark, what the hell just happened to you in this space?"
What are they feeding you at home?
Yeah, but of course, I didn't think I was going to grow at all. So
yeah.
So I went from being a point guard to being like a 6'4". I think it was ended up being 6'4" around 18.
Yeah.
But again, I actually got growing pains in my knees. Like
I was going to say,
playing.
Yeah, not surprised.
I went to the doctor about it and everything, and he was like, "Your ligaments are stretching, and you just need time for your body to adjust, and you need to just stretch and stuff." It was really painful. I remember I nearly passed out at church.
Wow.
Because it was that bad. Like, I just stopped playing, and then I went to university in Scotland, like you said. And I kind of told you a little bit about this yesterday, but long story short, I again just wasn't really interested in playing overly. I went to they go to the fresher fairs and they have the stands.
Yes.
Yeah, and the basketball team was there, and they kind of like they seemed to obviously nab you if you're tall. So they were like, "Oh, do you want to play?" And I was like, it's Freshers Week. I was going out having fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had no interest, and they took my name and details, and I said I did play underage, but they're like, "Oh, how come you're not playing? You look how tall you are." And I was just not interested. At that point, I had lost the love for the game.
Okay.
It was gone, and it was crazy. And then I didn't play in first year really at all.
Oh, okay.
And then I didn't play first year, and then second year I they kept bothering me. I met one of them, I think it was in Tesco.
Yeah.
And he's like, come down and just train. And I went down, trained. And I kind of, as I mentioned yesterday, I started to get into it then. I guess I was rediscovering the game as a 6 foot. At this point, I was 6'5". I'd grow another inch.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of guard skills, and I could kind of shoot, and I had mobility. I could play facing the basket, but I was 6'5" now. So it was like a different game.
Yeah.
Almost like, you know, and I was actually starting to get physically stronger. I was 19, and I had a lot of I was kind of, in second year, I kind of started going to the gym. I was hanging out with this other guy from the army who was in the gym a lot. So
wow.
I was actually getting stronger, but then genetically, I was just getting to become a man versus a kid. So I don't know, whatever happened. Anyway, I ended up getting really back into basketball, and kind of first year was over, you know, the drinking and all that.
Yeah. So get serious now after first year.
Yeah, and I was studying more. I'd got a job, so I was a bit more of a routine. And I thought basketball, I was really enjoying it, and I kind of started to go hang out with the guys on the team. So yeah, I ended up basically, I ended up doing quite well there with the team in terms of like me just getting a lot of playing time and stats. And again, it's the Scottish Universities League, so relatively speaking, it wasn't an amazing standard.
Okay.
And I played in the Scottish National League for the Aberdeen teams that we would play against, Edinburgh Rocks and those guys, which wouldn't be at the level of BBL really now. So, so the Edinburgh would tend to be the best team, and then there was another team in Glasgow, I think it was, that were pretty good. So yeah, so that was the kind of level I played at. And then I don't know if you want me to explain then about the Scottish uni stuff.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of like I probably would have just dithered on playing it in that kind of level. That's what I was kind of saying. But as I say, I was having some success in terms of like me getting good numbers at that level. And there was a Scottish University select team that I decided to go for, because you pick 2 players from your team when they go. So I went and you go to like a Four Nations tournament against like England and Wales and Northern Ireland, and we played like a friendly game against the Scotland national team. This is what I mentioned yesterday. So I ended up playing really well at that. I had like a 30-point game, and then afterwards, weirdly at the time, their coach was also our coach. So so he was coaching both teams. I don't know why he decided to, but he said, I'm also the Scotland men's team coach, just so you know. I'll set up the friendly, which is probably convenient for them. And they were trying to do a warm-up game for the Commonwealth Games. It did okay, and they actually had a more recent Commonwealth Games where they got a silver, bronze medal. So they've actually, they've come on a little bit, Scotland have. But anyway, long story short, I had a really good game. I had like 30 points against the Scotland men's team, which had BBL players on it. So I was happy with that. But then this coach said to me, "Are you ever think about playing at a higher level?" And I hadn't really considered it. I was still studying. I wasn't really committed to the study at the time. I remember like thinking, I'm not sure I want to do psychology. That was my degree. So then I thought, my brother was like, why don't you go and try and go to some of those camps in Europe? So I think that summer I went to a camp in Paris, and then I went to another one. And that was more of like a development camp where you just So I paid the money for that, and he's staying in the place in Paris. And it was a good level of competition there, much better than I'd ever really experienced in Scotland, for example. And we were playing against, like, there was guys from Africa, there was guys from all over Europe, but also outside of Europe. And that pushed me really hard. It was one of the most physically grueling camps I've ever been at. We had we were out on the track in Paris. I can't remember the name of the university, but amazing facilities right in the center of Paris.
Wow.
And we were like, I remember there was like 2 guys from the Olympic training squad out making us do sprints around tracks.
Wow.
And that actually allowed me to kind of understand how to train at an elite level.
Yeah.
Some of the guys at this camp were going to play pro, and they were all around 20, 19, around that age.
Yeah.
So I was playing against guys that were actually already signed to play pro, that were like in their 90s and 20s. So I kind of started to see the level of training I had to go through. And I was able to compete. I made the all-star team at that camp, and that kind of encouraged me. Yeah, and there was actually an agent there from France, and I was kind of like trying to see if I could like get signed for a team, because I was like, well, you know,
you did very well. Team, yeah, exactly. You did well. So I may as well.
Yeah, right. So I was like, how does this work? You know, like, do they have to approach you? And that's the kind of hazy part about the whole thing. But I'll like maybe explain that a bit more. But I went to that camp, and then after that, I didn't get any signing. I didn't really. There was no real like link between the players and any kind of an agent. I think he approached one French guy. He was a huge French guy, but he was already signed for another club.
Yeah.
It was a really good level camp, but there was nobody really got signed off the back.
Yeah, there was no sort of job opportunities and stuff.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So I thought great camp for exposing me to that level of basketball and that level of training, but nothing to actually get me to where
I can get a job with it.
I can get a job, yeah. Like I want to actually try and do this just to see. So we kind of went back to the drawing board, myself and my brother. He was like helping me, and he said, well, there's an exposure camp, it's called, in Italy. And there's coaches there watching, basically, from professional teams. Now, I didn't know much about it, so I took a risk. I think it was 135 euros at the time, which is pretty cheap to go to the camp. Yeah, paid for my own accommodation, and I turned up, and there's all these kind of guys who either were already playing pro, and there was guys there from national teams and stuff who were like younger. So I went to that camp. As I mentioned yesterday, I ended up doing okay at it. Our team, they split you up into teams, and then everyone played. And I went over with one of the guys called Andy Stephen, who was on the Scotland men's team at the time. And he was trying to pick up a contract as well. And unfortunately, whatever way it worked, his team didn't do that well. So they get knocked out. Obviously, you get less exposure because
you have you have to win to kind of get in front of the coach or front of the teams even.
Yeah, because you're playing more games, obviously. So we ended up getting to the final. And I think it wasn't the final I had my big game, but the game before that I scored like 22 points and I outscored the American or whatever it was. So off the back of that, even before the final happened, two clubs approached me. One of them was the Italian club in the gym that we were actually using for the camp.
Okay, yeah.
And they approached me first, and then there was a German club, which was the one I ended up signing for in Pro B then. So it was just a bit of a weird, it was all very surreal. Like, cause I mean,
it was kind of, you never kind of aimed. And one of my questions on my list in front of me was, did you always want to play professionally? And clearly not. It was just a matter of fact that it just kind of rolled into it. And kind of going back to 2007, I think it is, you got your senior caps with the Irish team.
Yeah. So around the same time that I was kind of going over to this camp that same summer, just off my own back because of the camp in France I played well in, I was like, I'm just going to see if there's that national men's team has any open trials, and it did. I think I emailed a guy called, he was the coach at the time, called Greg Gurr. He was an Australian guy. So Greg Gurr was, the national team coach. I just emailed him directly and said, I just wanted to attend the trials for I think there's open trials. He said, yeah, come over then. So I got picked for the squad. I think then we did our training camp in Sligo. We flew across to Sligo. So then they had to narrow down the team, and I think I may have got cut again.
Oh, right.
From but still, to be honest, if you look at the team they had a bunch of pros. They had Americans, they had an Australian guy. Now these obviously guys with Irish heritage.
This is back, and then they had back for the bust.
Back for the bus, yeah. This is back for the bus. And then they had like Paul Cummins. They had like I don't know if you know Conor Grace, like guys that all played Division One in America. Michael Bree. So I had a really
serious
strong squad. Like I wasn't sitting there going like, oh, this is unfair. I was I wouldn't pick me either. I've got no experience. Like I hadn't gone to Germany. I had been to like the camp, and I played in Scotland. You know, like I wouldn't be picking me either. So like I was 23 or 24, and I thought maybe I'll get a chance after Germany. I'll come back and I'll play. But after that, they kind of disbanded basically after the national team. So it hasn't really been around since then. But
fingers crossed in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that was kind of it then. Yeah, obviously, but then I had my year in Germany.
Yeah. What was
Tough
that?
year.
Yeah, what was that like your first year professional?
I mean, that was an eye opener. That
Yeah.
especially that level because this team was like so there's Pro B in Germany is like you have three. I think you can have three Americans.
Okay.
Uh, but a lot of teams would have an extra, like sometimes we had five Division One Americans.
Wow.
Uh, so one of them had sorry, two of them. Sorry, I'm getting the number right. Two of them had European passports because one of their
Oh, yeah.
granny lived in Italy or the granny was from, excuse me, Germany. So a lot of the teams would be just loaded up with Americans, and then like aside from that, one of the other guys from the campus on the national Ecuador team, he was on our team as well. Then we had a German guy who's 6'8" who played in front of me at the four, and he was played Division One Germany. So he's
Wow.
like
Okay.
that's like just off a lot of summer league NBA players end up going to like the German
Hmm.
first league.
Yeah.
So I mean, and this guy was 6'8". He was like real tall guy and just didn't miss when he shot. He was like a jump shooter, and he was like a mid-range like savant. I can't describe him. So like I wasn't getting any minutes, which was fine. But like even to play at that level, like and just to see how the professional setup works, like
Yeah. How they prepared and how they acted as
how the,
professionals properly.
yeah, well, that was the other interesting part. There wasn't as much professionalism as you think there.
Oh,
Right? That
right.
was it.
Okay.
No, and the club structure really
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
The players had the access sometimes
Oh, okay. Maybe not.
at a Pro B level because like I lived with the German guy, the 6'8" guy, and
Oh,
then there
okay.
was another German Nigerian guy who had played pro. But they tend to when they're at that level, when they're not at the top level, they tend to give them a job locally.
Oh, right.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and they study as well, and then they
Mm.
play as well. But
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a really good level. Like it's a better level than the BBL. Um, I'd say the very top clubs in the BBL might play in Pro B, but the rest of them probably wouldn't.
Okay.
It'd be a
Yeah.
massive drop off there. But yeah, really good level. The club setup was really good. Yeah, it was a pretty mad experience to be honest with you.
Mm. Yeah.
Like they give you a car, they give you like a house to share with some of the other teammates, and they give you money, and then it's your first year, so as well. So the way it works is your first year out, you're not proven as a
Yeah.
professional
So
athlete.
you kind of have to sit on the bench and do your time.
Yeah, or you're they want you to start, but sometimes even in the NBA, you'll see like some of the best players, the top guys will actually start,
Yeah.
but a lot of times they're wait and see. They don't give them a max contract first year
Yeah.
because they're not
Exactly.
proven.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
the kind of way it works. So it's the same when you come out, you're not going to get that much money first year. Like even some of the lads that I've talked to, some of the Irish lads there, they won't get that much money when they first go out because they're not proven. So until they have a year where they get like 15 points and they're playing a lot and they do really well, then the next year you can go to a club and say, "This is what I did," and
Yeah. Show me the money.
maybe
Yeah.
show me the money. But that's the money aspect of it is a big factor, um, and the reason it's a big factor is because like after, well, I can go in and do you want to explain what I did after that?
Yeah, yeah.
Is
I
it
was going to
useful?
say actually, just before you move on, at the
Yeah, sure.
beginning of like your first year as professional, was there like any like realization, right? Like I need to work on like getting stronger, getting faster, or I need to like improve my shooting. Was there any sort of like big thing you needed to work on?
Yeah. I had some. I mean, you think about the massive jump I took. Like it's like I said, Scottish League, National League
Yeah.
to that. Um, like I have a funny story about like physically what I needed to do. Like so, I'm like 6'6", right? So I'm probably in Ireland you can get away with being inside of that height. But
Yeah.
when I went to that team, there was Daniel, who's a 6'8" shooter.
Hmm.
Then we had another American who's 6'10", and then we had this guy called Kareem who played in the first league for a long time. So he's a seasoned veteran. I think he was 40 years of age at this point, but
Wow.
he was 6'11", super long, and was still really athletic. And I remember throwing the ball up to the board. I took a bank shot. It wasn't a layup, it was a bank shot. And he went up and blocked the ball. And I just had never experienced that. I just didn't really know what was going on. But he did it like twice in a row to me. And I just went down the court, like thinking in my head, like, what on earth is this? This is a different game. It's like a different game. It's like, this guy's blocking my bank shot from, I'm not shooting outside. And he came over and blocked it off the board. And he did it again the second time. I was like, am I not allowed to take bank shots anymore? This is ridiculous. So I remember that. I remember like I went and did a reverse layup, and like the guy Daniel just came around and he just knew what I was doing. Like
he was 3 steps ahead of you, probably.
Yeah, he was. He was 2 steps ahead of me. And then the other one was the three of us. They did these dunk drills where like they put the ball down on each side of the block and you catch it and go up and dunk it. And that bit, I was actually, because I'd worked a lot on my athleticism. I did like the jump training stuff, and it actually really helped. So I was doing that, but then we had this other drill where they basically put the three standing in literally underneath the ring, and the coach was a 7'1" guy, so he was a big man. So he would take it there, and then the assistant coach was more like guard oriented, so he was taking all the guards, and he was had to work on like dribble stuff off screens and things like that. And I remember he took us up to the top ring, just the three of us. And he basically said, I'm going to throw the ball up and then it's going to go through the hoop. And you're basically going to be fighting to get the rebound. And then whoever gets the rebound, you're putting it straight back in. Mm-hmm. And then when it goes, going to go through again. And whoever gets the rebound, back in. And these guys were like fully grown men. And I was getting thrown about like no man's business. So we had gym sessions on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday at 10 o'clock. And on a Tuesday and Thursday, we would have shooting in the gym I think it was 10:30. So on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I was lifting for like however long we wanted. The gym was like free.
Oh, okay.
Club or whatever. We would all go as a team. So I was in the gym and I was like, I need to get bigger. Like these guys are just, I can't even baseline compete.
Yeah.
Like, so that was my like. Jump.
That was your welcome to the big leagues moment.
Yeah, but like they're not only taller, but they're stronger.
Yeah.
So like and then eventually I got strong enough to the point where I could actually like hold guys off, but like that took me like, didn't take me too long because I knew how to lift.
Yeah.
But I had to get heavier and I had to eat more and all that kind of stuff. So there was a massive adjustment there. The other thing was my jump shot. One of the Americans on the team helped me a lot. We used to go in at like 11 at night and just like, he taught me a lot about shooting the ball. And he was a fantastic shooter. So I asked him because he was the best shooter on our team. And he just like little things like shooting the ball up instead of out, and like a good way to practice form shooting with one hand. So like there was loads of stuff that I learned from him. So I soaked everything up and it did help me a lot. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't play very much because I was behind Daniel, this German guy, but just even training every day at that level, just
it was a good experience. Like,
absolutely, yeah. There was actually a point at which I broke into the starting lineup.
Oh, brilliant.
Then Daniel came and subbed in like a game after and played really well, and he was back in. Oh. So that's how it works.
Yeah, and then you came back to Ireland in 2008.
Yeah, so 2008, I had actually planned to go back over and go and do another year. And I had this moment of like, I was chatting to my mum and my brother about it. Like, this is where the kind of, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
And in my case,
probably wasn't.
Yeah, like you're not getting a ton of money, right? And the way I was looking at it was I hadn't finished my degree. I kind of left halfway through to go and try and do this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I still was like degreeless. So then you're starting to, my brother was like, well, let's just play out the scenario here. So you play a few more years of professional basketball in the lower leagues in Europe. You make not enough money to retire. Is that a connection right there?
Yeah, you're grand,
and this is where like the choice comes in. And like when I talked to Colin, like I thought maybe I was, the kind of only person that was thinking this, but like he told me by the time he was 29, he had a similar realization. And this is not to put anyone off, because I think it's, for some people, it can be a real even the experience of doing it. Yeah. but like for some people, they could actually like, you know, keep going with it and make enough money, or they just want to live that life, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe they're not worried about the money, but there was a part of me that, you know, my brother was kind of in a situation where he had a really good job, and he had like, excuse me, he had enough, he had more of a means to go and do the stuff he wanted to do because he had got a, like, I suppose a corporate job, I suppose, you could say. And there was a part of me that was like, the security appealed to me almost more than it did to go and do that for another year, because I spent that whole summer like chasing teams in that same league trying to get a contract. But because I hadn't played, that was tough.
Yeah.
Now, I
Okay.
think if I had, let's say if you'd gone over there and you had played a lot of minutes, like I think Colin played a lot of minutes in Germany, he could go get another contract and you could do it for a few more years. And the experience is incredible. Don't get me wrong, like I did try and go back, and the coach actually wanted me to come back the next year. So that plan was to go back. He actually passed away. I don't know if you saw
Oh,
this
okay.
podcast with Colin, but this crazy situation where he passed away, and then they were restructuring the team, and then they brought in this rule about having two Germans on the court. So it just, that
Oh,
league then
okay.
wasn't really an option for me at all then. So
Yeah.
I had a call with the manager. So then I actually was going to accept an offer in Italy. And I ended up turning that down. I think Jordanstown contacted me and offered me a scholarship to finish my degree, to transfer to them.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so I was going to do that. I think Deirdre Brennan, I don't know if you know Deirdre Brennan.
Oh, yeah. She, Anna and Enya Maguire's mom, I think.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's right. Yeah, yes, that's right. And I think her husband played back in the day for the national team, I
Gareth.
think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gareth. Yeah. So the both of them brought me up. I tried out for their team, and I was like, I turned down. This was the biggest mistake I ever made. I turned down the offer in Italy instead of just like playing it out and then seeing how the other one went. I just like said no because these guys were so keen on bringing me up. And then that ended up falling through because I think they checked my academic records and I had failed some exams. So they were like, no, you can't come in. So then I
Oh,
had no
sugar.
options.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
And I basically had to like be like, all right. And then it was so late at that point to pick up another team. There was no contract offers in Italy,
Oh,
which
okay.
was the guy that ran the camp who had gotten me the offer. So that's kind of how it went. And then I ended up like working for a year in Dublin.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I was very, very fortunate to get business experience with my mum's cousin's company. It was a consultancy. So I ended up doing business. So like I went from like playing pro basketball to
To doing
sitting in
business.
an office in London with a consultancy company. So it was a bit nuts. But ultimately, I ended up going back and studying and finishing my degree. And then after that, I kind of, I started to look at, I knew in the UK there was some postgraduate basketball scholarships available. So I emailed a few clubs and tried out for Durham University. So I went there and I ended up doing a postgraduate basketball scholarship in Durham, and they were in the BBL.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to play a year in the BBL as well. And at that point, I think I had decided that like I wasn't going to go back and play pro, just straight professional basketball.
Okay.
And it was possibly because I thought that it might be too late at that point because I had finished my degree. I was like 27. I think I was going 28. So at that point, I was like, I could have gone back and done it. I actually remember talking to the guy in Italy, but again, you're going over playing for like, if you look at compared to a corporate job, it's peanuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like at that level. Now, if you get up to the higher tiers, if you get up to first league, you can actually get paid like six figures. Like then it
Okay.
becomes worth it.
Yeah.
But like, so as sad as it sounds, it kind of came down to money for me and security, and the education thing started to appeal to me more. And I think when me and Paul Cummins were talking, we kind of said like using basketball as a vehicle to get where you
Exactly.
actually want to go in life.
Yeah. Don't
And,
let the game use you. That kind of sense.
exactly, yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, because that's not to say it could, but like if I had just kept playing in those, like this is just my circumstance now. I'm not saying this
For
will be
everyone.
everyone,
Yeah. I
but for
understand. Yeah.
me, if I had stayed into that like third league Italy or whatever that was, and was getting paid like a couple of thousand a month, what would I have got at the end of it? Like I
Yeah.
would have
Exactly.
had this whole rest of my life where with no real qualifications or world experience beyond basketball. And that's not to say like I couldn't have gone into basketball and made something of myself, but
That
I
just
don't
didn't
know.
appeal to you that much, probably compared to the corporate side and that security.
Yeah, that security. Yeah, and actually, I went back and really enjoyed studying after that, and I was much more diligent. Um, and yeah, I just kind of the little bit of work experience I got in the consultancy actually kind of made me think, oh, I actually could do this. Actually, this would be more interesting, and it's got some longevity in it too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah. And you spoke about it before. You mentioned it briefly. You had a cameo for the Longford GAA team. How did that come about?
oh, that was hilarious. So basically, I came back from Germany, and because I didn't end up taking the Italian job or taking the Jordanstown thing, I think they were in the Super League that year.
Okay, yeah.
Um, I think it ended up either Paul Cummins or his mate that was on the national team at the time, Eno Boyle, ended up taking that scholarship instead. So anyway, I ended up playing for the Hoops in the Super League that year. Um, I don't know if you remember them, but they folded a year after. I think Bride Saunders was kind of
Oh, okay,
the
was that
person
they
who
were
was
based out of the basketball
Tala.
arena?
They
Out
were
of
in,
Tala,
yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
were
yeah.
in, yeah, yeah. So we played that year. We actually had a really good season up to Christmas, and then I don't know what happened, and we lost in the semi-final of the cup to Donaghy, which is glad I
Oh,
got him back
right.
this year. We bet them in the semi-final, so that's one back on
Yeah.
him. but uh, but yeah. Anyway, long story short, I played. I mean, it's Longford football, so in a way, who cares? But like, but basically, long story short, I went back and what happened? Oh yeah, I played for the club, and it was junior football in Longford, so this is pretty terrible. And I remember my brother being out in the middle of the field, and Philip's like 6'5". He's a pretty decent athlete as well,
Okay, yeah.
and he's pretty good. He's pretty good at Gaelic.
Yeah.
And what happened was, my uncle was like, I was watching the game, and I was like, looking at these lads on the field, and I was like, these lads are, because I just come back from like professional athletes,
Yeah.
and
You were used to the
so,
training and
so
the likes of the lifting
yeah,
3 times a week and extra training, like
right, yeah. So these guys are legit like pro athletes, and then I come back and see these lads in
amateur,
Longford, like
and GAA obviously is amateur even at the elite level,
it's amateur,
which they
yeah. But
train
then see
professionally at that
Longford, and
level.
it's junior.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a bit of a step down, I'd say, from Germany.
Yeah, and I'm looking at these like little Scots lads running about the field, and I was like, "Here, give me a pair of boots, and
I'll go
Or my
show them
uncle
how
was
it's
asking me to
done.
play.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't played since I was like 15, and we ended up as again junior football in Longford, but we won the county championship, and we moved up to intermediate then,
Oh,
and
brilliant.
then
Yeah, yeah.
that next the start of the next year, then Philip, what happened then? Oh yeah, then Philip got picked for the county team, or he was on the county team. Yeah, because yeah, that's what it was. And then they heard that we won the championship, and then that I had, I was on the team, and I was 6'6", so they're like, "What harm? Bring him out to the training." So they brought. I waited till the season was finished. Um, yeah, no, it was the summer. So I came back from Germany, and then that summer, I was like looking to pick up a new team, but I was also playing for the club back in Ireland during the
Yeah,
summer.
yeah.
That's what it was. And Philip was made the county team that year. But then we won the championship, and I stayed in Ireland. And then that next played Super League for all over Christmas, and then that next summer, then
You went for the
they
county
were.
team.
I went for the county team. That's what it was. I went, and then I ended up making the panel. We had a like a what was this? A training camp in Toulouse
Oh, deadly.
with the Toulouse rugby team. So that was cool.
That was really cool.
Um,
Yeah,
I felt really bad in a way because I kind of came in late because of the basketball was still on,
yeah.
and a bunch of lads like who played Gaelic all their lives and mad to make the county team. It got cut from like 30 down to like whatever the panel was in the end. And like I got put on it. I just showed up with about 2 weeks to go, and they put me on it. But like I suppose in a way you can't really teach height. So it's like
Exactly. Yeah,
how many 6'6" Irish lads
especially
or Longford
living
lads?
Longford, like Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah, yeah. So we did that for the year. It was a good bit of
And
crack.
what
Yeah, it
was
was
that
great
like?
crack
What was the
actually.
training like at that level?
I tell you what, like having just trained the year before, there was a couple of that was tough, and it's a different kind of it's a
It's a
different
different
kind
sort
of
of fitness,
I,
even.
different sort of fitness. Yeah, I don't want to say this for a fact because I'm not a sports scientist, but I think it's a completely different system. Like a basketball is more anaerobic, which is like short. I did a sports science course first year, so I
Oh,
know a little
okay.
bit. So I think anaerobic is short, like explosive bursts, and aerobic fitness is like almost the opposite. It's like longer distance.
Yeah, that
So I
sounds
think
about
when
right.
you're
Yeah.
training in Gaelic, you're doing these sustained sprints at like 80%, whereas basketball is super explosive. It's much smaller surface area. So
Yeah.
like with Gaelic, I had to kind of retrain a little bit. I lost a lot of my mass up top because there's just so much running. You get very lean up top. So I was trying to kind of, and actually for Gaelic, you kind of need strength too. So,
Yeah. It's
but
probably
my
a different
legs,
sort of strength as well.
yeah, my legs kind of change shape. Your thighs get really big because you're just doing all this like full out like sprinting all the time. And I really enjoyed it. I actually loved it. And I remember like, I don't know, I had this kind of negative thing about being from Longford or like this. I was not ashamed of it, but like
Yeah, yeah.
people don't seem to remark it very well. But I kind of found this new pride when I played for the county, which was lovely,
Yeah.
that I didn't really have before. So that was kind of cool because I've been away for so long that I
Yeah, it
kind of
was
had
probably nice to
not.
have the home roots and stuff.
Yeah, it was class, and then everyone would come out and support you. Well, most of them would.
Yeah.
Sometimes some people come to watch you lose.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah, no, it was great. I actually really enjoyed that experience.
And then you went back to England. Then you did your degree. What's your favorite country that you've played in? Just now, basketball terms. Like, what's the best place to play basketball?
Oh, and from the ones I played in, Germany is at a better level. Um, the organization of the game over there is fantastic. I would say the UK is probably the second best, and then just I would say Ireland's still the level is still a bit lower because I guess the facilities are not quite there.
Yeah.
The funding isn't there, for basketball specifically,
Yeah. Oh,
like the
yeah.
funding
Specifically
might
for
be there now
basketball.
for rugby.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, but I
yeah.
would say definitely you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
But for Germany, it's fairly well established sport now. It's fairly popular, and certainly in certain regions of it anyway.
Yeah.
But generally, what I found over there is they're just really organized.
Yeah.
Um,
They're with everything, with their trains and everything.
Yeah, like it's a stereotype, but it's true. And it's almost like the two sides of the same coin. It's the same with Irish people. I find like I've lived in Scotland, I've lived in England, I've lived in Germany, and I've moved back to Ireland. And the same thing that makes Irish people lovely, the fact that they're so relaxed in a way and they're
Yeah.
easy to talk to, is the same thing that kind of sometimes means that stuff doesn't get done the way it should.
Yeah.
Whereas
Exactly.
like you find with English people, they can be a bit more straight laced and a bit like anal about stuff, and that actually is a good thing in a way because they're
Because they get
they're
the
more
stuff
on it.
done.
They
Yeah.
get more stuff done. But I think Ireland's kind of, it's probably unfair in a way. Like it's probably unfair, but it's just my observation of my experience. Germany, I remember one morning we were kind of driving to train early to shoot early or something. This was like about 8:30, and we got to this junction, and I'd never seen anything like it. Like this is council workers, and there's like five of them jumped out of a van, and they started putting cones out, and they were like, one guy was in the middle directing all the traffic, and it was like that was unbelievable. Like in Ireland, it's like five guys standing around a hole,
Yeah. Yeah.
smoking a cigarette with a
Pointing at each
shovel,
other.
all telling yeah, and again, I'm exaggerating for comic effect, but
Yeah. Yeah.
like I just saw a different. There's a different culture around or kind of approach to work in certain way, and their organization have. But another thing I noticed over there was in that club specifically, there was a lot of support from the local businesses in the town. So like we went to get towels for our house, and he just rocked up to the one of the local factories and then came out with all these towels in his arms, and I
Wow.
was like, we were all like, "What the hell's going on?" And they just gave him the towels because they wanted to support the club. It's
That's
not like
amazing.
me.
Yeah.
It's not me and mine. Like, and again, you do see that in parishes in rural Ireland more, and maybe there's parts of Dublin where you know. But I just thought it was incredible to see that level of support for a local club, and there was no like questions asked. Now maybe they got free tickets. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Something there. Yeah. No, I think
Yeah,
I know what you're saying, and I think considering the fact that like basketball isn't one of the main sports here, like you said, like GAA, rugby, like
yeah,
those sports are obviously like ahead of basketball. I think we've done like considerably well. If you look at the talent coming out of Ireland, particularly at the moment, you know, it's a pity that there wasn't more support and funding because I think the sport would just blow up.
Yeah, I think it could. Like being from like a rural town, I suppose you call Longford there. Like it is in the country, but
Yeah.
it's more of a. I suppose it's not like a village, like but it's a town. I don't know. There was. I got the attitude certainly from like even from my mates or whatever. Like they seen them basketball as a bit of like a not a, let's say a foreign sport
Yeah, I
or
know what
like
you mean.
you know
It's kind of
it's
seen as
American
like,
sport.
I would see with GAA, it's kind of like, oh, I'll do basketball in the winter to keep me fit. It's not.
Something like that.
It's
Yeah,
not. I'm gonna play basketball and do GAA to keep me fit. It's the other way around.
yeah. Like there's not too many guys saying I want to play for Ireland for basketball
Yeah,
underage,
exactly.
unless you play in a club that's really popular and then you
Yeah,
get hooked.
and your
Then
parents
it's
probably or someone involved as well.
yeah, or like there's nobody saying. I think somebody said it to me on a podcast. Like, how many kids in Ireland are saying I want to go play a professional basketball, and their parents are like,
Yeah, let's
we'll
go.
support you.
Like, yeah, yeah,
Where would you play? Like, we don't have a professional basketball league here,
yeah,
and the BBL is like, while it's not a bad standard of league for professional basketball,
yeah,
it's still it's probably a lower standard league than most first leagues in Europe, than nearly all of them. So like, you're not looking there. So where are you going? Like, you
yeah.
going to Spain, or are you going? And that's not to say guys won't make it and they won't do it, but there's
There's less of a
we don't.
pathway already
Yeah,
there for players. Yeah,
yeah.
they have to kind of forge their own path early.
Yeah, like we don't have an academy like for example Leinster rugby. Like if you're watching that team week in week out and you're a 9-year-old, you might
Yeah,
be like, I'd love to play for Leinster one day. Like that's an aspiration. There are a lot of Irish players on that team, and they might not be getting paid millions, but they're
but
they're
they're
getting paid
getting,
enough.
yeah, exactly. They're paying enough money to
You
be
know?
professional. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I think they're getting paid. Someone told me like 300K, some 250K, which is still way more
that's
than
like, yeah, there's a
a
lot of
lot of
money.
people
Like,
can earn. Yeah, exactly. And so it was kind of that that passed through my mind. Like a lot of, we don't have that yet. We don't have like a Leinster Youth Academy, or we don't have like a Leinster pro team that plays in Europe. But
yeah,
like maybe one day we could. But
yeah,
that
definitely. And
that that could be something.
you were saying with Jordan, like there is no like basketball academy, eat, sleep, breathe basketball. Like just
Well,
go
I
for it.
think
Like,
NABA does
oh
exist,
yeah,
and
yeah, in Dublin.
I'm not sure the links. Yeah, in Dublin, yeah, NABA does exist, and I'm not sure the links that has with Basketball Ireland or how that's kind of working. I feel like they're kind of siloed off, and
Oh,
um,
okay, like a separate entity.
yeah, like I don't know how many Irish players are actually playing there. Now there may be some, I don't know, but from following that, I think it's a lot of international players that actually end up going
Okay,
there.
yeah, I
Um,
don't know much about now about all really.
Yeah, but again, I don't know. The guy I wanted to get on the podcast myself was actually to chat to him, and I might still reach out to him at some point. But I don't. I feel like there needs to be a pathway in there. I don't know what
Yeah.
clubs are affiliated with that, or if it's affiliated with Basketball Ireland. It seems quite separate. So it'd be
Okay.
nice to have like a pathway for Irish players in particular.
Yeah, like a Basketball Ireland academy, similar like that. It's just, but it's run by Basketball Ireland.
That is affiliated with Basketball Ireland, or is run by Basketball Ireland, or is under Basketball Ireland.
Yeah, yeah,
That
okay.
that would make the most sense to me, at least.
Yeah. And then you came back to, you mentioned there, you came back to play with Eanna last year. What was that like coming back to play Super League?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't even sure if I was going to keep playing again. I kind of like back to the is the juice worth the squeeze. I kind of ended up playing National League Division 2 in the UK, so I was playing there. And then the year before I came back, I played National League Division 1,
Okay.
and it was for a bit of money.
Okay, yeah.
So I was still getting paid a little bit in London. So there was a team there that asked me to sign, and I was like, I'll sign if you pay me a bit of money, basically.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
again, it's side change. It's not a lot of money, but
Yeah,
it
I know
was
what you mean.
like, can you cover my rent type thing? That was the
Okay.
general, like, just to give you a ballpark.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
okay.
like that's the kind of conversation I was had. So when I came back, I was still playing at a reasonable level. It's one below BBL. You'll get a few Americans in those leagues as well.
Okay.
And then, so when I came back, I was like, maybe I don't want to play. And then I just wanted to maybe have one last year and play Super League in Ireland,
Yeah, yeah.
just to see. So yeah, I came back and I was contemplating playing for UCD.
Okay.
And I actually was kind of going to go down and train with them. And then kind of my brother played for Eanna, and I was like, I
Okay.
met Darren and I met Neil, and I was like, oh, I like these guys better. I just got on with those guys better.
Yeah, you clicked. Yeah,
just clicked, and I like the fact that they played the style they play is quite like Darren's not very. He won't really restrict you. Like you never hear Darren saying like, "Don't take that shot," or like he lets you just play. But he puts some structure in there. Like he puts plays in there, like a lot of plays. Yeah. But he won't really tell you, and he'll tell you like if you're messing up on defense. But he's not going to be like, "I need you to run exactly this play, and I need you to just set a screen." And he just lets you play, which is as a player, that's the most fun.
Yeah, it's a style you want to play.
It's a style you want to play, and actually worked really well for us last year. Like so,
brilliant. Yeah, and you got to the obviously with the cup final and did very well that year. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's class. Yeah, I mean, like I actually never got to play in a cup final. I've always been away since I was 18. So to come back and play in an Irish Cup final was a cool way to finish it off. Would have been nice to win it, obviously. But
yeah, well, sure, next year.
Yeah. I'm going to have one more crack at it next year. So, Templeogue were a great team. Mark Reynolds, fantastic coach as well.
Yeah, like, serious talent.
I remember in the timeout when I watched the game back, he said, like, he had a brilliant line. Like, this is where our experience and our calm comes in now, lads. He said it really calmly to them, and it seemed to settle them all really well. And I was like, it just shows you how experienced he is and how he knows the right thing to say at the right moment,
Yeah, it takes obviously a couple of goes in cup finals to get that experience and to have that foresight to be like, right, the lads are getting nervous and jumpy, because the atmosphere in the place was hopping. I wasn't even there. And I could tell from the TV. I was like, wow, like I wish I was there. It was crazy.
It's a crazy energy, actually. Yeah, it was crazy to see that in an Irish basketball. It was incredible. Like, and even like when I was in at work, I was trying to get tickets for the guys, and now I don't know if they were sold out because they had not released enough of them, but like they were sold out within like 10 seconds. And I'm thinking like,
it was crazy,
all the people that worked there were trying to get a hold of them, and nobody could get a hold of any tickets.
Yeah.
Which I was like, this is either there's actually more demand for this and they should have more tickets, or I think it's probably
maybe they didn't release all of them. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's actually what I think it was. I found out afterwards. Yeah. It was like that they had taken a lot of them and then given them to the clubs.
Oh, okay, right. Actually. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But it just shows you like that the people do want to go watch this. Like my whole office was like, we'll all go.
Wow. That's brilliant, yeah.
Not my whole office, but I can probably exaggerate.
A few of them, yeah.
Maybe just my team. Maybe it was just my team. But like there was people that wanted to go, and there was all my relatives wanted to go, and I had to like really awkwardly had to give tickets to like half of them, and like the rest of them like,
on the sly.
Yeah. I had to ring people and be like, I'm really sorry. I thought I had more or whatever. Yeah. So I think there is a demand for it. Like people will go watch sport, like, and if it's played at even if it's not the top level of the top athletes, if it's competitive, you go watch 9-year-olds play.
Yeah.
So like, just and they put all the effort into the arena, and I was like, but I suppose we don't have a bigger place,
bigger venue. It's
a bigger venue. Yeah.
And do you think since obviously your last year playing here was 2008, do you think there or have you noticed a change in support and perception of basketball in Ireland?
Oh, that's a good question. I had thought about this before, actually. Have I noticed, like, how does it go again? So have
it was like a change in support, or like a change in the perception of basketball in Ireland since 2008, so about 10 years?
Support, I would say it's a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better. Because our Super League games now, we were kind of a club that was just kind of randomly set up for Shamrock Hoops.
Yeah.
The support wasn't there. Even when we went down to Kerry, like they didn't have the crazy support that they had when we went this year. So the support level has gone up, which means more people are going to watch the games. I don't know if social media has had a big influence there, that's kind of helped clubs and then like communities connect a bit more. Yeah. I don't know how that's worked, but definitely there's more people watching it and going to the games, which is great to see. That's incredible.
It's good to hear as well.
Yeah. No, for 100%, that's got way better in my eyes. The perception, like as in the perception in the sports world in Ireland of basketball?
As in like compared to, obviously basketball isn't like the number one or even the top 3 sports in Ireland, but compared to what it was before, do you think there's more interest in it?
So here's my thoughts on that one. I think rugby has grown as a sport massively. I think that's
Yeah.
obvious as well. Like if you
Yeah.
talk to people now, yeah, like because of the success of the national team, because now there's provincial rugby teams competing in Europe, because we've done really well in the Six Nations the last 12 years. Like I'm glued to those games. Like when I was in Scotland, we were watching all the Six Nations, and Ireland would be beating Scotland every time, and they'd be coming, winning it or like coming second or
Yeah.
doing really well competing. And when you see that, that makes you want to go, young players want to go play the sport. We haven't had a team for the last 10 years, even a national team.
Yeah.
So these young players, like there's no aspiration there to go and play for the national team because
we didn't
not
have it
alone
for
are
so
they not
long.
competing, but there's no team. So I think there's a rebuilding thing there that we have to do around the national team because that will help younger players coming through. I think there's a lot of people playing basketball, but they need a pathway, like you said, to go play for the national team or to go play for even a pro team. The question is, where would they play? Would they play in a PBL? Like, I don't think there could be multiple pro teams. You might get one in Belfast, one in
one in Dublin. Yeah.
So that could be, or even like make a Leinster team, like make a provincial Leinster team that could go play in BBL.
The likes of, against the likes of, you were saying BBL and maybe even provincial teams in the UK even might be a good shout. Yeah, that's a good idea. And then, what is your top 5 favourite Super League jerseys? And you're not allowed to pick Eanna.
Right, yeah. I'll tell you what's not in my top 5. That camo one from Tralee was terrible.
I like the idea. I like the idea, but the execution, I know what you're saying. I have to agree.
I actually, some people really liked that camo one. When I first saw it, I liked it, and then I kind of went off it. And then the other one I don't like, weird. There's ones I don't like. I don't know if there's ones I do like. But the other I don't like is Kilester's one. I'm not a big fan of Kilester's.
Which Kilester one is
kind of like the red, like it's got like an orangey color on it.
I love their black one. They have like a mostly black with a bit of orange. The women wore it for the cup final. That was really clean and crisp. That was
okay.
Really nice.
That could be a nice one. I don't know. Maybe it's just one of the ones I saw. I just wasn't into it. Okay, so let me try and think. I might only be able to give you top 3 because I can't actually.
We'll go with top 3. Yeah.
Okay, I did like the Belfast because I like that blue.
It's
definitely
nice
did
one.
like that one.
Yeah.
What's the other one? So Temple Oak, the red. I'm not a fan of that either.
Okay.
Maybe I'm a fashion snob. I don't know. So we go Belfast. Can't even pick Eanna. DCU's is pretty okay. I think. I want to say DCU's is okay.
Okay.
Mary, I like because it was like a green one.
Yeah, I like the.
I'm pretty sure Neptune. There's one I'm missing here because I remember actually going to a game being like, oh, they have nice jerseys. Yeah. So I think Neptune's is all right, and who else is even in the league at this point? We'll say Mary. Who's the other team? Mary and who's the other Galway team?
Moy Cullen.
My Cullen, yeah.
Yeah.
Murray was green, but then I can't actually remember.
Murray's blue. Moy Cullen would be green, I think.
Right. Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong now. I don't know.
I got those teams confused because I was just like two Galway teams,
and they both start with M as well. I completely didn't realize.
I didn't mind those guys' jerseys. I'm kind of going based on the ones I didn't like. I'm excluding those, and then I knew the rest of them were fine. But I didn't really have there was none of them that I was like, God, they have I think there was one team I actually really liked their jersey, but I can't remember which one. Neptune were okay as far as I remember.
The black one, Neptune, is lovely. Their black kit, I think, is nice. Yeah. Just different, again, a bit different.
You have a good knowledge of the kits. I'm going to take note now the next time.
Yeah. And then moving on to your podcast, you set up Hoopfolio was it over quarantine that you set it up?
Yeah. Do you know what? I'll tell you a funny story about that one. Do you want me to tell you
go for it.
Idea came?
Yeah, completely.
So do you ever hear of like I would almost say he's like he's a marketing guru guy. Gary Vaynerchuk. Have you heard of that guy?
Yes, I love Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah, he's another influence for this podcast as well. No regrets.
Right.
Yeah,
No
brilliant.
regrets. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we might have even watched the same bloody video. But
Probably, yeah.
I was sitting up real late one night, as you do, going down the rabbit hole on YouTube, and I
Yeah, yeah.
basically saw one of his videos, and it was probably that one because pretty much the sentiments he had was like, he goes, the worst thing you can do is he goes, the best thing you can do is go to an old folks home and
Yeah.
just talk to them. And he goes, and you'll hear the regret in their voices. And I'm one of these people, because I went and did the professional basketball thing. I took a bit of a risk with that. I feel like that's kind of allowed me to want to go and try other stuff that might be considered like a bit risky, or people would just be like, no, it's not for me.
No, kind of off the beaten track, probably.
Yeah, like something that you kind of want to do, but you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that because I can't do it, or I don't want to do it. So I watched that video, and he said, if you wanted to do something, like, go do it. Don't sit there and be 80 years of age and be like, there was a couple of things I really wanted to do. I was like, just go do it. He goes, just get up and do it. He goes, doesn't even matter if it fails through its backside. Like, you just need to go do it. And I that kind of made me take stock a little bit. And I was like, I'm just going to go give it a go and then like see what happens. And I just went and just kind of wrote out a little plan the way I would in like work, for like the way I would for any project that we do at work. And I just thought, I'll get together and just start it. And just like, I know loads of people that play basketball, played in the UK. I got lots of contacts. I'll just start chatting to people. I'll just see how it goes. So that was it.
And here you are.
Yeah, I know.
And then how did you find kind of the first couple of episodes, getting used to like being behind the mic? I know I'm still struggling even with this episode. Like, it's awful beforehand. It's like you're playing a mental game there. You're like, oh my god, like I'm so bad, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
It'll take you a while to get the hang of it, kind of getting used to the microphone and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, because I generally, I'm one of these idiots that thinks he's really good at everything, but he's actually not. And I always go in overconfident to like exams, like games. I just go in and like, whereas I'll talk to
Blind them
people
with confidence.
Yeah, I like oversell, under deliver. So I thought I'll smash this out of the park. This will be easy. And then went in, and I was like, the first interview was with Jason.
Yeah.
And like Jason's chatty and stuff, and I know Jason. Like, I don't know him super well, but I've played against him and stuff, and with him. And God, I found it tough. I was like, sugar. I was like, because firstly, I got some of the information wrong, which was the first thing that happened, and I was like, oh no. This is terrible. And he was correcting me.
I've done the same. Yeah, I've done the same.
Oh, it's terrible. And he was correcting me, but he didn't sound very impressed about it. Like he was kind of like, no, that's 4.
Who does this guy
3.
from Eanna think he is?
Yeah, I maybe thought I was trying to like have a laugh or something. And I ended up getting like 2 or 3 pieces of information wrong in a row. And then I thought he sounded a bit fed up with the fact that I just done that. So then I was like, oh no. So then anyway, we moved on. And once I got into the flow of it, it was fine. But that initial kind of like,
it's starting off the first couple of seconds, like the first 5 minutes, I always find like nerve-wracking. Like, you're just talking shite, like like, and even now when you get to the end, then you go down these rabbit holes. I tend to go on a bit of a ramble.
I'm terrible. And the thing is, because the way I approached the podcast was, I read up a reasonable amount about it, and I was like, do I want to do like an interview style where I'm interviewing the person? And I did kind of want to do that, but I also wanted to make it less like, this is just me personally now for my podcast. I wanted to make it less of an interview where I'm like asking super formal questions and more of a conversation, which is probably like what I feel like you're trying to do. Yeah. Make it more natural, because I feel like, anybody can sit there and just bash a few questions, but just like having a normal, natural conversation.
Exactly.
At the start, I was trying to stick too rigidly to the script, whereas then eventually I felt like we could have more of a conversation back and forth. Yeah. If you know what I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's something I need to definitely work on. It's more difficult than you think, because you need to get through the questions, and I have my little timer up beside me. Like, it's hard to try to keep everything together. It's like,
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that, like, because I was considering putting 40 minutes on the clock, like a shot clock. And being like, we have to do this in 40 minutes. And that probably would have been smarter in a way, because people wouldn't have to listen to my stupid, like, 2-hour-long episodes or whatever. But I don't know. That's just what I went for anyway. But,
no, I'm enjoying them so far. It's brilliant. And then what do you think is the best part of the podcast? Is it kind of hearing the stories? I always think of my podcast as sort of an excuse to connect with a person and I have a conversation, as you were saying. And look, if someone listens, that's great, and if they get something, even better. But it's just a conversation.
Yeah, me too. I see. I'm. If you're like, it sounds like you're like me. You love talking to people and meeting people and getting to know their story. And like, you get to talk to people and they tell you stuff. And there's no way you could actually possibly bring this or fit this in, like chatting to them when you see them.
Yeah.
So you get to hear their whole life story. And sometimes you just hear incredible stuff, like stuff that you would never guess. And you get to talk about basketball too, which is great. So and you learn from them. Like they'll tell you stuff like that you like. Would be like, oh, that's really good for someone to know who's in that situation, if it's basketball or whatever. So like, and they'll tell you random, like, and some of it's kind of personal to them sometimes, but like they're sharing it with you. So I think it's incredible. Yeah.
I'd be really the same opinion. It is really, really cool. This is I think today is my 4th or 5th episode, or it could be more. I'm losing track at this stage, but it's just so interesting. I'm getting more hooked with every episode, and I was thinking, you know what, if I don't like it, I'll be like 3 episodes in, and you know what, I've done it. Like Gary said, no regrets, but like I'm loving it. Like it's great. It's great crack.
Yeah, I was the same. I remember coming off some of the podcasts on an absolute high. Like I remember just like gleaming, like literally, like and it wasn't always like the bigger guest or there was 2 lads I've done there now that I haven't released yet. Like they're both ex-NBA players, and they were cool. But like some of my favorite episodes were just like, I don't know, just different guys.
The people running, I always say, flying below the radar.
Yeah. Some of the best stories, and you have a brilliant conversation with them, and you just come off feeling great. Yeah, it's weird. It's like I wouldn't have ever thought I would have got that from it. Like I had no clue I would kind of get that kind of buzz off it, but it was fantastic. And then have people come back, like I got one feedback from Evie Nealon.
She's in the States, I think, at the moment. I was in touch with her there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So. And I was eventually going to bring her on, but as I say, I'm going to change up the format. So maybe next summer I'll probably get her on. But Evie came.
She'd be a good guest. Yeah.
Yeah, she just randomly emailed me on, or not emailed me, but what do you call it? Twitter.
Direct message kind of thing. Yeah.
Direct message on Twitter, and just said, just to let you know, I've been listening to your podcast. Like I've always really wanted to hear the story of like Colin O'Reilly and some of these other players that I grew up watching. And she goes, this is, brilliant. I'm loving it. Like, and that like spurred me on to go and keep doing it. Just her messaging me, like, so
that's really cool.
even that, like, I think you sent me one. You said, I'm listening to them, I'm enjoying them. And I was like, it's great that people are listening to them. And because in your head, you're like, nobody's going to listen to this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking right now.
No, I'll definitely listen to them. I'll definitely listen to them.
But thanks. I've one listener. There we go.
It's enjoyable. Like, I mean, like even because you get to know the person who's interviewing too, which sounds a bit silly. Like, but you feel like
I've never met you. I didn't know who you were before you set up the podcast. Mark Reynolds wouldn't, like, I didn't know you existed even. Well, I knew you from Eanna, but like I wouldn't have known you to say like hello or anything.
Yeah, but you kind of get a sense for who that person is too.
Exactly.
And you can kind of enjoy it. Like even listening to Pat Price's stuff, I feel like I definitely kind of have a sense of who he is a little bit, just because of the way he interacts with the people. And he's quite nice to listen to, and I quite like his questions, and he's kind of funny a little bit. So I just kind of enjoy it. And that's what's fun about it, I think, for me anyway.
Yeah. And I think since like the idea I had for the podcast, and then since like starting to record them, I've been listening to a load of them to kind of get like, not ideas, but kind of see how things are done. And I was listening to one there last night, and I was howling with laughter, and it was just like, it was just because I got so invested, and I couldn't even like, I just listened to the podcast just straight way through, and I don't do that. I usually take a bit of pause, but I just couldn't stop listening to it because it was just hilarious. Like, since starting this, I appreciate when it's a good podcast, and I appreciate when people do podcasts, because it's a lot of effort. Like there's a lot of back end, a lot of like post interviewers editing and getting them out and stuff like that.
Yeah, even scheduling them in, getting people to come on and stuff. It's a bit of work, like. But I felt like it was worth it. Just if got a few people that listened to it and heard the stories of a few people, like even to get that bit of feedback was good. Probably one of the things I think if I did it again, would be more interaction with people. Like I felt like I didn't really go out and ask people questions about what they wanted to hear. But again, I wasn't really sure if people would be interested in even giving feedback. So
sure, you're not a professional. Like you're going off a whim doing something for the crack. Like we don't work in radio or I don't know, whoever does interviews and stuff like.
Yeah,
so
we're not
put your own spin on it.
Media pros. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you mentioned your guest there. Who was your dream guest? If you had like a choice of anyone in the world, who would you pick?
Well, that's a good question, actually. Yeah, there was a couple of people I really wanted to get on. There's one guy I actually really still want to get on. I bothered him a few times on social media, and I bothered him, like, tried to get his attention.
He has you blocked.
yeah, on all platforms. So that's off the cards. He's in the NBA now. He's Pat Connaughton.
He'd be deadly.
Yeah, so I was disappointed I never got him because I kind of was like going through the list, my list. I made a list of people, and I was like, most of them are reasonably easy to get 1 degree of separation. Yeah. And I was happy when I got like Pat Burke and Mark Reynolds, who the guys who play for the national team that are ex-NBA, got through to there. Yeah. But I was still trying to get it. I kind of gave up on Pat Connaughton for a bit, and I said I'll come back to him later on and I'll get him. But he was one guy I wanted to get just because he's in the NBA, but he's also got Irish heritage and
he could play for the Irish national team now. I know the issue with insurance and stuff, but that'd be a brilliant episode. Yeah,
I'd like to get him on, and then I don't know if there's anyone else. There's probably a few other ex-NBA players that I would like to get on. I'd love to get someone like D Wade on because I love D Wade. Yeah, that's someone like him.
You should definitely listen to JJ Redick has a podcast. I think it's called The Old Man and the Three. He had him on. His podcast is deadly. That's one of my favorites. You definitely
I actually listened to his podcast. Yeah, he's really good. JJ Redick would be another guy I'd love to get on.
That's what I was about to say. He's on my list of someday eventually. Should try
and get. No, I think you will. If you stick with it, I think you will. And if you kind of can find a way to approach
to get through to him. You'd have to do a lot of digging now to get through to the likes of them, but that would be really cool. And then in terms of then guess, if you didn't have to stick to basketball, you could pick anyone in the world, who would you pick?
Probably have to be music because I love music. God, that's a real tough one. I think I'd probably go for, I was going to say someone like Billy Joel. I'm making myself sound like an old fogey now. Or you know who I get? This is probably going back, but someone like Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because he's lived such an unusual life. Now I could just go read his book because apparently he's had a really interesting upbringing.
But you never know. Excuse me. You never know who's listening either. You know.
True. Yeah.
And then you mentioned it there, what's your favorite podcast that you're currently listening to, or podcasts?
Would you believe it? It's Pat Price. At the moment, that's the one I'm listening to now. He's actually stopped putting on episodes, which is probably for if anyone that was regularly listening to my one, then they've probably been like, for God's sake, why is this guy stopped? So I've had about a 3-week hiatus, but I'm about to put the rest of them out starting from this week. So Pat Price was one I was really enjoying, just because like I kind of know him, and he was chatting to some really interesting coaches that were like, as I said, high level D1 coaches, like, so very interesting to see his link with them, and then how they rose from where they were to where they are, which is kind of what I was like trying to do, but with players. He's doing it with coaches.
Okay,
so it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. And to finish up, what I kind of like to end on is what's called the Sideline 7. So it's the same 7 questions to every guest. It's like, it can be thought-provoking or fire round. It's up to yourself how long you want to spend on the answers.
Cool. Okay.
So question 1 is, what is your favourite quote?
I have many quotes, and they're probably all just disappear from my mind now.
Yeah.
What's my favourite quote? I do like, there's a Shakespeare quote, ignorance is bliss, but 'tis folly to be wise. And I notice with Irish people, that's a great one, because not to trash Irish people, because I'm Irish, obviously, but like, just like people just make assumptions and they don't actually know. They give their, like I always say, it's opinion, that's opinion, not fact, because you don't actually know that, you just think you know it. So don't talk in absolutes. Try and find out what the actual facts are. Don't make assumptions. And if you don't know, don't talk in absolutes. You know, just because I used to do it myself a lot, actually. And now I try and go, okay, maybe that sounds right. I know people want to sometimes sound very assertive all the time, but I'm a big believer in like, if you're not sure, then don't say you're sure.
Yeah, that's cool. That's different to.
Yeah.
I've done a few podcasts. That's different. That's cool. I like that. I like that answer.
Okay.
Best sporting event you've been to?
Oh, this is easy. So it was the USA versus GB pre-Olympic. So the 2012
cool.
London Olympics. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the best.
Wow,
That was so
Kobe,
cool. Kobe,
LeBron,
LeBron,
like D
D
Wade,
Wade,
Carmelo Anthony, like
Carmelo
Jesus.
Anthony, who was incredible and came on because it was like a close game, probably towards the end of the second. Like I said, close game, like 10 points.
Yeah, okay.
Which is close,
Yeah,
given
it's
it's
close, close enough. Like, yeah,
for GB versus the USA, like everyone thought they were going to get blown out in the
Impressive.
first half. So third quarter, or I think, or no, it was actually the end of the second quarter. Melo came down, and I'm about like, oh, it's so exciting to watch them that close. I'm about, I don't know, 4 seats from the front or something like that.
Oh wow.
And Melo he just gets it and launches it. Like they just hit him on the 3-point line in transition, catches it, shoots it, and he hits like 3 in a row. And next thing, and then someone else ran in layup. I think Westbrook's came in and just dunked it, and it just changed the whole. Everyone was like, "Oh, that's game over." But to watch, one of the 2 guys impressed me. Melo impressed me. LeBron was LeBron. He didn't do anything crazy. I think he got a dunk in the game. Westbrook's athleticism is something unnatural. Like I'd never seen a human move like that. Like the level of explosion he has, and the strength and the explosive strength that he has is, I've never seen anything close to it. It's see that in person was ridiculous.
I was gonna say, because I always see like the highlights, obviously with YouTube or whatever, like it's incredible. But I'd say in person, you were just like,
yeah, and I don't know if it quite translates on screen, because you see him and it's almost like he's like in fast forward or something. But to see that in real life, everyone was just like looking around like, that is.
Yeah.
And people, I have heard people say like, some of my mates in London who are like be basketball nutters, like they love it. And there's one of my mates, like who's a real aficionado, is like, he thinks he's like the most explosive player to ever play basketball.
Yeah, he's up there. Yeah, he's definitely up there. That's really cool. And that team, I'm trying to think who else was on it. Like again, Westbrook, Anthony Davis, I think, was on it. Like just,
I think he was. That's right.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was still in college or something, but he was really young. But like crazy.
In my head, that's like they could play against the dream team and give them probably a pretty good game. Like because that level of talent. Because it was
serious squad.
That draft were just in their prime, like that draft of Melo, D Wade, and LeBron.
2003. Yeah.
They were just in their prime. So to catch that was that was a lucky.
Yeah, those 5 players we named: LeBron, D Wade, Melo, Kobe, and I named someone else.
There was other guys too. There's like Darren Williams, I think.
Yeah, like Hall of Famers, like 75 are probably going to the Hall of Fame.
Some of the best players to ever play the game.
Yeah, crazy
cool
stuff. Yeah, that's really cool. Biggest setback or challenge in your career?
Basketball career.
Yeah.
My
well, you can choose professional career if you want to.
No, we don't need to hear about that. I've had no setbacks in my professional career. I'd say probably. Oh God, I'd say probably I don't think me not playing in Germany really bothered me, because I felt like I was just learning the game. I didn't play in Durham that much either, but again, I was behind an American, and he was a really good player.
Yeah.
I'd say probably. I don't know. God, I sound like an idiot, but I don't feel like there's any setbacks.
Yeah, there's nothing that jumps to mind. Yeah.
Well, you see, like I made a conscious choice. Biggest challenge. That's probably the best way to put it. The biggest challenge I ever faced was probably like deciding not to go back and play. I found that tough because I really wanted to give it a go, and I felt like I could have got to a better level. But to be honest, when I got to Germany and saw the level of player that was there, I was like, okay. Like
it's on another level. Like
it is on another level. Like it really is. Like 6'6" trying to play the 4. That's probably one of my setbacks or maybe my regrets, was that I didn't try and play on the perimeter more, because as a 6'6" guy who was a point guard, had I been kept those skills and played at the perimeter at 6'6", then it's more feasible that I could have went on and been more successful. But when I got to like the pro level, we played the top team in the Pro B League in Germany, and there was a 7-foot guy on the court, and then the 4 guy was a 6'10" guy, and these guys were built like huge men, really heavy. They were like in their late 20s. And I was just taken off the court immediately because you just can't leave it. A 6'6" guy who's first year playing pro. It just doesn't work. So then I immediately realized, I was like, I am in the wrong position for like a decent level pro league. So that's probably the biggest challenge I had. And then I realized I should have actually, but I didn't know, I just,
you were. It was your first year professional. Obviously, you didn't know.
And there's exceptions. Like Charles Barkley was like 6'5" and played under the rim, but he was a freak athlete. But
he was also like built like a brick wall. Like
nowadays, a lot of perimeter players that get to the top level, like the NBA, they're like 6'8", 6'9". You almost have to be. Like I'm just trying to think of somebody now. You have to be stepping out of the perimeter at 6'6". You can't really, if you want to go play top level basketball or even second tier Europe or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you look at the likes of Ben Simmons. I know he's an exception to the rule, but like he's a point guard and he's 6'10" point guard. Like that
he's
just
6'9",
shows.
6'10".
I know that's like an extreme, but in a couple of years, you might see more Ben Simmons coming through the likes of 6'10" point guards.
I think
you don't know. Yeah, I think. A
lot of the guys who are like 7 foot now are just like they're getting taught guard skills. Like so, it's kind of expected. Like a lot of those European guys that they bring over.
Porzingis is a great example.
Porzingis, like he's playing the perimeter a lot of times. He's taking threes, so it's that positionless basketball. Like, you got to be able to step out and shoot. You got to have a handle. So it's like, you need to be able to do everything. And 6'6" is no place for you to be under the basket for the most part. At that level, it's tough. You know what I mean?
What is then kind of the flip side? What is your biggest achievement on or off the court?
Biggest achievement. I'd say probably. It's kind of a lesser one for. There was a couple. There was 2 for basketball that I really enjoyed. One of them was we played against Scottish universities versus English universities, and Wales. It was like a 4 Nations tournament that I mentioned. I got an MVP at that. And I kind of wasn't expecting to play that well. I was really delighted with that. It's an individual one, I suppose. And then for my university, we were playing a Scottish team. And no Scotland team had ever done it, but we went down and we won their British the Bucks trophy. So the British University.
I saw that. I was doing a bit of research. That was there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was cool. It was the first Scottish team to ever do it. And then the year after, we got to the same final and we lost to Loughborough. That was what I mentioned to you.
Okay.
But the fact that we won a British trophy for the university was pretty cool. So I was quite proud of that one as well. So that's
pretty cool. And then sorry.
Are you going to say, did you want me to give one off?
Oh yeah, sure, off the court. Yeah, go for it.
Just getting 2 degrees. I just never thought it was going to happen, to be honest. So I'll take that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, because you were mentioned before you left college in Scotland early.
Yeah,
and kind of went back.
Honestly, I didn't think I'd go back. So the fact that I went back and got to, I was delighted, to be honest.
Brilliant. And then kind of reflecting back, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I probably would have. Well, let's say my 16-year-old self would have been stay with it, because I would have known I was going to be 6'6".
Yeah.
So I probably would have been like, I would have been like, in about a year and a half, you're going to get a lot taller. So just keep playing basketball.
Keep going.
I remember at 15, I was kind of, what's the word? I just became like, a little bit less in love with it. It's just because I don't know, you got to a certain age and you're like, I don't want to keep doing this all the time and spend all the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish I just stayed the course. Now maybe I was still playing at the club level, but not taking that seriously. So I kind of wish I'd done that and maybe kept it going a bit. And I might have been able to go play, like, I don't know, college in America or something. But I guess when you develop at like 17, like, it's almost too late, like that kind of height or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I didn't know that. So you don't know these things.
Hindsight is a great thing, as they say.
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah, yeah. And then, who would be your dream dinner guest and why? And the last few people I've had on have turned it into a dinner party. So if you want more than one, you're more than welcome to it. And this is anyone in the world. And again, if you had your choice, no limit.
Yeah, it's probably similar to like who would I like to interview or whatever. I'd say, so that was the musicians come to mind.
Yeah.
Just trying to think. I'd say probably, I have to say, probably would be a basketball player, actually. I'd probably like to pick the brains of like someone like, I'd probably, if okay, let's give me two people. You know how I'd love to have a dinner party is Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and Magic Johnson.
Wow. Just you know, when you had your pick.
Yeah, but just to hear their conversation. Like,
you're just like the fly on the wall.
Yeah, I just eat dinner and listen to them. I would just sit and listen to them just to hear what they have to say. And if I could hear them tell some stories about when they were playing, that would be cool.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, that's a good selection. And then final question: if your life was a book, what chapter would this be called?
The one I'm in now, is it?
Yeah.
This is probably settling down. So I'm like looking to buy a house. I kind of have my job that I really wanted to get. After working in the UK, I came back and I got a good job back in Ireland, which is what I ultimately wanted to do. And kind of one of the reasons I focused on education versus the basketball was that I eventually wanted to get a good job, but back in Ireland.
Yeah.
I got my experience in London. So I was working for like Barclays Bank.
Oh, okay.
And I was working for Lloyd's Banking Group. So I got really good experience there, and then came back and got a good job in Dublin, which is what I wanted. So it's settling down time for me now. and or the retirement or whatever. So after this year I'll be done. So that's kind of it. Yeah.
That's good. Look, Mark, thanks a million for coming on. I really appreciate it. Be sure to check out Mark's podcast, Hoopfolio, and make sure to follow his Instagram and Twitter at Hoopfolio. Gave you the plug there.
Cheers. Yeah. Just on that one. As I said, I haven't done it in 3 weeks, but I'll be getting stuff out now. I think it's number 16. So thanks for plugging that. Appreciate that.
No worries at all. Cheers. Look, thanks again, and best of luck this season.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Cheers.
A massive thank you to Mark for coming on today. He's an absolute gent and has given me loads of help and advice. So be sure to check out the Hoopfolio podcast, which will be linked in the description box below. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave a rating and review. And if you're interested in starting up your very own podcast, be sure to get in touch with the Primal Productions team over on Instagram at Primal Pro.